Start recording. So yeah, I saw how some of you did your storyline examples, and yeah, most of you understood it, right? Most of you understood it. So yeah, if you understood it well, you could have gotten some good trades, right? Even on Monday, we had a good trade using storyline. Now, of course, the weekly storyline was a bit confusing. I thought we were still bullish, but it looks like we're still bullish. We can't confirm that weekly has turned bearish until this week's candle ends. And today is what? Today's the third. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, we have 4 more days, I think. So after that candle ends, we could decide what's going to happen. But we could follow the daily storyline, right? We can follow the daily storyline. Now, did you see what happened in here? Right? It was clearly a storyline setup, right? It was clearly a storyline setup. Now, what did the daily candle do in here? What did it do? Daily has closed below a daily resistance. Can you see that? Right? Daily closed below that daily resistance. And if you drop to H4, what has the H4 done? H4 has given you a breakout, right? H4 has clearly given you a break of structure right here. So which means now we could come to a conclusion that daily is in a bearish storyline, right? Because these are the two factors that we need, yeah, for a storyline to start. Daily has to reject daily, and then one time frame lower, which means the H4 has to give you a breakout structure. So we clearly have that, right? We clearly have the bar. At the start of the week, right? Now I'll explain why I was expecting a bullish move on the weekly time frame, because now this candle, it never started any storylines, right? This candle never started any storylines, because now we can see how weekly, yeah, it did reject a weekly support. We can see that this one, as this was the monthly level, that could be refined to this weekly open close, right? We had that, and then yeah, we had this very clearly, right? We had this thing in here, right? We had this trend line and all that. So yeah, so we had that very clearly. Now, the reason I told you weekly is bullish is because this candle never started any storylines, right? So this candle never started any storyline. So if this candle didn't start any storylines, we could refer to the previous candle, right? The one before this. So this candle did start a storyline, because why? Weekly closed below that weekly support, right? Above that weekly support, sorry. And then once you go to the daily created that bullish QM right here, right? We had the bullish breakout. So that's why I told you weekly must still be bullish, right? Weekly must still be bullish, because I told you, how does a storyline end? A storyline ends the same way it started, right? So now a bullish storyline started here, but it never ended, right? But it never ended. So that is why I was still looking for buys. And that's okay, because now if you're going to buy this thing, right? If you're going to buy this thing the next week, what's the closest weekly zone for a buy? This one, right? This is the closest zone we have for a buy. Now we can come to a conclusion that weekly is still bullish, but if you go to daily, daily is still bearish, right? Daily is still bearish, because we saw how Friday's candle started a bearish storyline by rejecting a daily resistance and H4 broke structure. Now, what you could do is you could use the daily storyline setup and then take a sell back into the weekly zones, right? Because these 100 pips away. Why wouldn't you just, yeah, why would you just wait until the market gets here? You can always grab that opportunity, right? We have 100 pips, right? So now, where can you take a sell from, right? That's the question. Where can you take a sell from? Now, if you zoom in, if you pay close attention, what is this? A newly created daily resistance, right? A new daily resistance has been created. Now, if you go to H4, right? If you go to H4, this is where it is, right? This is where it is. And yeah, I showed it, right? I sent you this chart in the group. We had this trend line as confluence. Now, what can you do? If you are taking sells, your safest target should be here. That's a 100 pip target, right? That will be a 100 pip target. And also now, today I took 2 losses, trying to buy here and in here. Okay, because I have to accept it, right? Now I can't just make up reasons and tell you, oh no, I dodged this move or whatever. I can't tell you that, right? Now what I normally do is, now I have a set of rules that I've set for myself, right? So which means I wouldn't take, what I do is I take only 3 trades a day. If I take 3 losses in a row, I wouldn't trade for the whole day. That is what I do. Okay, so now what I did was, now look at this. This whole thing was a weekly support, right? There's a weekly support. If you go to the daily has also created 2 new supports, and open close and this, right? We can see that very clearly. We have this. Now, I thought, okay, since weekly was still bullish, we could refine these into lower time frames and we can take buys. Okay, so this is how I refined it. Let me show you. These are the daily zones. The first zone, I define it here. Okay, now this is what I normally do. For high risk setups, I risk 0.30%. Okay, now of course not on prop firms. Okay, so I only place, yeah, we will go through all these topics. Okay, we go through all these topics. Now on prop firm accounts, what you could do is place only confirmation entries. I'll explain all that in the upcoming sessions. But on your personal accounts, you could go with high risk, medium risk, and low risk, all three. Okay, so now this what I'm doing is these types of entries I'll be placing on my personal account, because a prop firm account does not allow you a lot of drawdown, right? It does not give you a lot of drawdown, so you could easily lose your account, especially if you're trying to pass challenges or whatever. You can easily lose your account if you if you don't risk manage your risk well. Okay, so these types of entries, what you could do is on the high risk setups, you could uh, place them on your personal accounts. Okay, so now what I do is normally I risk 0.30% for high risk entries. Okay, on my personal account. So now what I do is, since we have too many levels to look into, because look at this, this is a daily support. This is also a daily support with this long wick. Can you see? Now you need to understand, now when we have these long wicks on lower time frames, most of the time we'll have something inside of it. Okay, so now if I go to the H4, H4 did have all these areas, right? Can you see that? H4 had all these areas in here. So sorry, so we do not know if the market, like which zone the market is going to react from, right? We do not know which zone the market is going to react from. So you need to think wise when we have situations like this. Now, this, of course, this one, no, let that go. Okay, let that go. But yeah, I'm talking about these zones. I'm talking about these zones in here. So now you need to understand, okay, are you going to risk all 0.30% here, or everything here, or everything here? Okay, so what I do is I'll divide that 0.30 by 3 and then place 3 trades. Okay, I'm going to place 3 trades, one here, and then one here. Okay, because now this is not even necessary. Okay, trust me, now this is not even necessary, because it's always better to go with the confirmation entry. Now these buys from these zones are not even confirmed, right? So you can't place them on prop firm accounts. Now placing these or not is completely up to you, but I personally, I love to grab the tops and the bottoms all the time, right? So what I do is, when we have too many zones like this, I divide the risk and then I place the trade. Okay, divide the risk and then I place the trade. So yeah, today I had a buy limit set here, stopped out, buy limit set here, stopped out, and then this one was the best zone, because this was also with this weekly open close. Can you say? We had this weekly open close as well. We call it a dropping point. I'll teach you that later. Okay, so we have that. Can you say? So yeah, this is what I did. This is what I did. One trade here. Okay, now like I told you, now just because I took losses here, it doesn't mean that you need to place these types of trades. Okay, because I told you the reason. I love to get the tops and the bottoms. That is why I did that. Okay, that is why I did that. Now, normally, yeah, this is not very realistic, not very practical, right? Because if you're doing this on a prop firm account, for sure you're going to lose it. Okay, so don't do that. You need to do this on a personal account. That's the thing. Okay, so now if we see, now look at this. Clearly, we got the sell from here. See that 100 pips on Monday now, because like I told you, this should be your safest target, right? This should be your safest target. So there we have, there we have that. Can you see that? Very clearly, we got the sell, right? Very clearly, we got the sell. Now, if you waited for this day to end, let's go back to the daily time frame. Did the daily storyline ever end? No, right? Did the daily bearish storyline end? Because how will a daily bearish storyline end? Daily has to reject a daily support, and then H4 has to give you a bullish breakout, right? H4 has to give you a bullish breakout. Now, let's say daily rejected this daily support. Okay, but if you go to H4, did H4 break structure? No. H4 never broke structure, right? H4 never broke structure. So which means you could still expect more sells, right? You can still expect more sells. Okay, so yeah, now if you are trying to sell this thing, give me a second. Yeah, now if you're trying to sell this thing, what's the closest daily resistance you have for a sell, right? What's the closest daily resistance you have? Can you say this is the closest one you have, right? Because from this current price action, current market price to this zone, yeah, current market price to the next closest daily resistance is here. Can you see that? The closest one is here. You can always refine it, no problem. You could ever use this one. Not a problem, not a problem, but you need to pay attention to this. And if you go to H4, yeah, I did not take any sells here. Okay, I saw this later, but I took my sell right here. Okay, we had a swing high in here. We had this open close on the H4 in here. Okay, and then yeah, see another swing high being created. This is the Asian high. right? This is the Asian high. Now, you need to understand why are we focused on a sell? Because the daily storyline never ended, right? Daily storyline never ended. So we can, yeah, we can look for a sell, right? We can look for a sell because, yeah, the daily storyline did not end. So which means daily is still bearish. We could look for a sell until the previous day's low is taken out, right? Until the previous day's low is taken out. So these were the previous day's low was, I think. Now it's dropping. Asia left its high, and there it goes. Can you say now, if you did not enter, no problem. Look at this. Closed below it. Okay, that is how I entered. Closed below this. I'll talk to, yeah, I'll teach you these types of entries later. Okay, some rejection entries. So we got a rejection from this H4 level. This Asian high is taken out. We know that we're still bearish on the daily, so we can look for more sells, right? We can look for more sells like this. And what happened? There it comes. Okay, there it comes. So, like I told you, I did take a buy here. Not going to lie, I have to be frank with you. Bought it here, not here. Bought it, refined it here, bought it here, stopped out, bought it here, then again stopped out, and then this was the best zone I found because we had this trend line, right? We had a trend line back into that weekly level. So there we go. The final one is running. Okay, final one is running. Now, like I told you, just because I did this, it doesn't mean that you have to do this. Okay, doing this or not is completely up to you. Okay, it is completely up to you. If you want to get the like be on the tops and the bottoms, you can always do that. No problem. Okay, because I have a specific criteria where I pay myself. Okay, because for these types of entries, I'm not going to pay myself at least until 100 to 150 pips. Okay, because the risk in here was, yeah, the risk involved in here was very high, right? So why should I just close it at around 30 to 40 pips? Okay, so no point of doing that. So these types of trades require a lot of good psychology, not easy. Okay, but yeah, I will teach you that. Okay, so now what are the questions you guys have about storylines? Let me know because I'm not going to teach anything new today. We will be going over some examples of storylines because I see some people haven't sent any charts and yeah, most of you have understood it, but what are the other questions you have regarding this? Just let me know before I just start showing some examples. Yeah, let me know. Is there anything that I need to go through about storylines? Now you know how it starts and now you know how it ends, right? You know how it starts and how it ends. So yeah, hope there are no questions. Yeah.
I can't remember any right now,
Yeah,
but yeah,
same.
maybe when we're like, doing examples,
Yeah.
questions pop up. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's go through them. Okay, so let's look at some hindsight examples of storylines. Okay, so maybe starting
Can I
from the
can I
monthly time frame. Yeah.
can I say something before? Maybe I asked a question about the recent price action.
Okay. Recent price action. Yes.
Go back to the
Okay.
this particular level here,
Which one?
price has rejected that particular point for
Okay.
3 times. Does it
Okay.
mean that we can use one specific level for the starting of storyline a couple of times or multiple times?
Sorry. I can't hear you clearly, bro. I think your mic is
I'm saying, can
yeah.
you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we use that particular point for
This point?
multiple storyline starting?
Yeah, now in my opinion, of course, you can use this level. Okay, you can use this level because see clearly this happens most of the time. Okay, this happens most of the time. Like same thing even in here. Can you see that? Look at how many times the same level was used. One, two, three, four, like 5 times. 5 times. Okay, so yes, you can use them. Okay, don't worry. If you have a support or resistance, just pay attention to it. Okay, now most people will tell you, oh, that is not fresh anymore. So the market will run over this into these areas. But did that even happen? No, it didn't happen. Right? It didn't happen. So if there is a support or resistance, doesn't matter if it's fresh or unfresh, untested or tested, just pay attention to that level because all key levels are important. Okay, all the key levels are important. So please pay attention to them. Okay, just have that level marked out. You don't have to take direct trades if you are not comfortable. You can get confirmation entries. I'll teach you about the confirmation entries. Okay, I'll teach you about the confirmation entries because in here we did get that confirmation entry for a sell like this. Now let's say you had this level marked out. My only question is entry criteria. Since there are others, can we? Yeah, entries. I'll show it later. Okay, because before entries comes direction, right? If you do not know the direction, How can you get entries? So that is why we're gonna go through storylines and all that first. Okay, so we can go through all that. Okay, yeah, I'll teach that. Okay, because before before entering, you need to know the direction. Because if you can't understand the direction, what's the point of an entry, right? There's no point. No point of taking any entries. So because without knowing the direction, how do you know if if it's going to move up or down? The basic thing you don't know. Okay, that is why. Now look at this. Now let's say you had this level marked out. You did not take any trades. No problem. You can go with your confirmation entries, right? You can go with the confirmation entries. Now I did not take this. I did not take this. I'll show you. How can we take a confirmation entry here? Right now, this is the confirmation entry that we take. H4 has to reject H4, right? H4 has to reject H4. Now we can clearly see how all of these are daily resistance. All of this is I'm sorry, H4 resistance. Now, what can we see? We can see how H4 rejected H4, right? H4 has rejected that H4. And now for the confirmation entry, it's a little bit different. You don't have to wait for structure breaks. You can use open close breaks. Now, if you go to H1 breaks open close. Can you see it? Okay, now another person could come with an argument saying, okay, H4 also rejected this H4 support, right? H4 also rejected the H4 support. Okay, if you are confused, okay, now most of the time, if you have rejections from both the sides, okay, if you have rejections from both the sides, the best thing you need to do is drop one time frame lower and then look for the breakout, right? Drop one time frame lower and look for the breakout. Now, if I go to H1, which side is the breakout? Open, close, right? You need to see what happened on that same candle. Look at this. This is where the candle opened. H4 rejects H4 and then H1 breaks open, close. Can you see? H1 breaks open, close. So which means now you can start looking for sells at least until the Asian low is taken out. Okay, at least until the Asian low is taken out. So now, what's the best zone for a sell? Okay, because if you go to H1, you will see multiple zones, right? This one here, this one here, this one here, this one here. Now, once again, you're confused. Which zone am I going to use for a sell? Okay, so don't directly choose the H1 level. Always try to deal with the high time frames. Go back to H4. What do we have on the H4? H4 resistance. So which means this zone is irrelevant, right? This zone is irrelevant. Cut that off. Now, what you could do is mark out your H4 resistance. Go to a lower time frame. Maybe refine it like this. And then you can take a sell, right? And then you can take a sell like this. Maybe let's say 20 pips, right? You could have a 20 pip stop loss, right? You can have a 20 pip stop loss and a 100 pip target. Okay, that is the 1 to 5 setup. Okay, I'll teach all that later. And then you can have a 100 pip target, maybe down below the Asian low. Okay, so what happens? There it comes with news. Okay, there it comes with news. So that is how you can get the confirmation entry. Okay, I'll show you a lot of these once we go into entering parts. Okay, but right now let's just focus on a storyline. Okay, let's just focus on storylines because once you master direction, that was my other question, which one to pick. Okay, now you see that, right? Always like rather than just looking at lower time frame zones, now on the lower time frames, you're going to have so many. Drop to the higher time frames, mark out your higher time frame zone, and inside of that, you can use the lower time frame levels. Okay, so because you will get confused if you directly drop into the lower time frames. Okay, so first mark out that zone on the higher time frame and then go to your higher time frames. That's the best thing to do. Okay, so let's see some examples of storylines. Okay, where it failed, where it worked out perfectly, and all that stuff. Okay, let's see. In here, I think we have some interesting examples, right? What's the date? Let's check. This is the 14th of March. Okay, let's see. Okay, now in here, can you see how weekly has rejected a weekly resistance? Can you see that? Weekly has clearly rejected a weekly resistance. Okay, weekly clearly rejected a weekly resistance. And then what's the next thing we need to see? Okay, after rejection, we need to see a breakout on one time frame lower, right? A breakout on one time frame lower. Now, if I go to daily, do we have a clear breakout? No. For a proper breakout, it has to be this one, right? It has to be this one. Okay, so this should be the proper break for for the storyline to start. This should be the proper breakout, right? This should be the proper breakout. Okay, so we can have that marked out, no problem. Now let's go to the weekly. So which means weekly has not yet turned bearish, right? Weekly has not yet turned bearish. Weekly started its bullish storyline. Let's say here, yeah. maybe this is where the weekly bullish storyline started. Weekly rejected a weekly support. If you go to daily, yeah, daily broke structure over here. So that is where the weekly storyline started, bullish storyline, and it never ended, right? It never ended. Now, I think in here, of course, there was a little confusion created. Let's go through the failing ones as well. Okay. Because can you see what happened in here? Weekly rejected a weekly resistance, right? Weekly rejected a weekly resistance. And then if you go to the daily time frame, daily did a breakout. Can you see that? Daily time frame gave you a breakout structure. Okay, daily clearly gave you a breakout structure. So in here, of course, I personally, if I don't remember what I did here. Okay, but yeah, if I was looking at this, what I would have done is marked out this resistance once again. Okay, I would have marked out this resistance once again, assuming that weekly has now turned bearish. Okay, assuming that weekly has now turned bearish, I would mark out this resistance, go to the daily, maybe refine this into these areas, right? Maybe into these areas. I would have refined it like this, and I would have for sure taken some cells. Okay, so it fails. Okay, sometimes it fails because even the daily at this point, even daily turned bearish. Okay, even daily turned bearish. Can you see that? Weekly and daily both turned bearish. Daily rejected this daily resistance. Can you see? We can see that very clearly. Daily has rejected a daily resistance. And then if you go to H4, H4 has given you a breakout on that same day. As a result of that rejection, this breakout happened, right? This breakout happened. So yeah, looking for a sell is not a problem. Okay, looking for a sell is not a problem. So like I told you, what I would have done is marked this one out, go to daily, refine into lower time frames. I would have looked for cells from inside of this zone. That is what I would have done. Okay, but let's see what they actually did. Okay, let's see what they actually did. Let's go to H4. Let's play the candles. Okay, let's play the candles. We skip Asia. We normally skip Asia. So the first two H4 candles will be Asia, right? The first two H4 candles will be Asia. Okay. The first two H4 candles will be Asia. So we can skip those two, and then we can see what they're about to do. First one. Now, do you see one good reason why we skip Asia? Okay. Just because you wanted to take cells here. So you didn't take any, right? Because that happened during Asia. Clearly, it happened during Asia. So after this huge move happened, now you need to understand, okay, something is going on. We might be wrong, right? We might be wrong. So we need to maybe if this thing confuses you, the best thing to do is wait for that day to end. Okay, wait for that day to end. And that is when that is when you can decide what to do. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the first two H4 candles are over. This is Asia. And this is also Asia, right? This is also Asia. Now we're confused, right? Now we're confused. These were the higher time frame zones we had. The market has broken through it. Look at that. It just shot straight through it for some reason. We don't know why, right? Now honestly, this price action I didn't understand at all. I'll show you. Look at this. Now this is broken, right? This is broken. Now we are confused. So what can you do? Like I told you, the best thing to do is wait. Okay, that's the best thing to do. Now don't think, oh, this is a holy grail. Okay, this is not a holy grail. You'll have to be flexible. That's all you can do here. Okay, so yeah, that failed. The weekly and daily zones failed. Now the best thing to do is wait. Okay, just wait for the day to end. Let's see. Okay, now it's dropping, closed above it, right? It closed above it. This is yeah, London. Just wait. 4:30. Okay, dropping once again. See, no idea what to do. 8:30. 12:30. Okay, so now the day is over. Okay, the day is over. Let's go to the daily, check what the daily is doing. Now, can you see what the market has done? Okay, daily has clearly broken through all these levels. Can you see it? Daily has clearly broken through all these weekly and the daily levels. Now, do you even see any resistance on the daily to sell from? No, right? You don't see anything. You don't see anything. So what's the best thing to do? Now you need to understand, okay, we've made a mistake at the beginning. We did not make a mistake, okay, because these are the criteria for a storyline. Okay, these are the criteria for a storyline. This happened, can't help it, just accept that. Now you need to understand, okay, we made a mistake, okay, or as the market is not uh, agreeing with the storylines, no problem. Then what can we do? Be more flexible, and then if there are no resistance to sell from, what can we do? We could look for support to buy from, right? So now once again, open close is broken. These levels are broken. We could focus on these levels for buying, right? We could focus on these levels for buying. So let's see, let's see if we could refine these areas. This one maybe, where can we refine it into? This one we can refine into this left shoulder. See that? This level we could refine it to the left shoulder. And sorry. This level, where can we refine it into? Do we have a nearby level? Maybe this one? No, I don't think that's a good level. Let's check H4. Trying to see a nearby level. I don't see any. Let's see. Let's wait for once again. Let's wait for Asia to end, and then we can decide what to do. First one, okay. Second one. So that is how Asia ended. Let's see what we could do here. Creates a new support. H1 breaking open close. Did this reject any H4 levels? No, it did not. Nah, no idea what to do. Let's see. See, that's it. Okay, if you are confused, don't do anything. Okay, you're not going to lose anything. If you just don't pull the trigger until something is clear, until you understand the price sections, just simply don't pull the trigger. Okay, so can't help it. Can't help it because show me one trader that has entries every single day. Every single trade is going as planned. No one can do that. Okay, no one on earth can do that. You need to accept that as well. Sometimes you might have to go 2 or 3 days without entries. So that's just it. Okay, so let's see. Now Asia is also over. Now we do not know what to do with London, right? We have no idea what to do with London. So what can I do? Simply wait once again. Okay, waiting is the best therapy here. So let's see. Okay, now they are moving up, breaking structure. Can you see? Structure is also broken, right? Structure is clearly broken to the upside once again, but we still have no idea where to take any trades from. So we'll have to wait, right? Let's delete this. This is where we rejected. 12:30. See now, do you think anyone would have taken any of these trades? Do you even see where it is reacting to? Even SMC, SNR, nobody. Can you say where did this react to? Can someone show me? Nowhere, right? Nowhere. So these types of days you'll have to just have some patience and then wait. But I think now we have the confirmation entry. Can you say now we have a confirmation? H4 has rejected this H4 level, right? H4 has yes, we have the confirmation. Can you say H4 has rejected this, what is this? RBS, right? A resistance, broken, turns into a support. Now, can you see how H4 went down, closed above it, right? H4 has rejected the H4 level. And then if we go to H1, what can we see? We can see how H1 broke, open, close. Can you see? H1 has clearly broken the open close level. So which means now we have our confirmation and we can start looking for buys, right? We can start looking for buys. Let's go back to H4. Okay, let's go back to H4. Now, I told you, right, rather than just directly marking out your lower time frame levels. Now, what most people do is, okay, directly come into these levels, right? Directly call, maybe come into this level and then use that. That's not a problem. But then again, you need to always start marking out zones from the higher time frames. So if you go to H4, what is the closest higher time frame zone you have in here? We have this level here. Can you see it? This is a good level because why? Can you see how it was used as a resistance once, twice, and 3 times in here? Now it is broken, so it could act as a good support, right? Now it could act as a good support. So I'll talk about all of this. Don't worry, I'm just simply showing you how we could have entered. So H4 has rejected these areas, right? H4 has rejected these areas. If you go to H1, yeah, H1 has broken, open, close. This is the next H4 level we have, right? And then the next thing we could do is maybe what? Wait for timing, right? Timing is important. Okay, if you not know where to enter and all that stuff, what you could do is just maybe wait for timing. But I think in here, yeah, New York is also over. We can't wait for New York Hill Zone or New York Open. New York is also over. Maybe let's pull out a trend line. Look at this. This is also a good level on the H1, right? I'm talking about this level. Why? Because can you see how it was used as a resistance once? I'm talking about this open close. This open close was once used as a resistance and now it is broken. So it could be used as a good support, right? It could be used as a good support. We have that. And maybe we could draw a trend line. No, maybe something like this. right? Maybe something like this. Yeah, we have this, and then we have that H4 zone itself. We could do a buy. Let's try doing the 20 and the 150. Okay. If I have it here, that is 40 pips, too much. I wouldn't have 40 pips anyway. I think 20 pips will be safe. We have the trend line as well. Do we have a break and retest trend line? Let me check quickly. We have the break and retest trend line as well. Let's do 20 pips and then a 100 pip target. You see that, right? You have to patiently wait until you see a clear opportunity. Now, this 5%. Can you see that? That's 5%. Okay, a 20 pip stop loss and a 100 pip target will give you 5%. So with the confirmation entry, this is what we always focus on. Okay, like 5% entries. Now look at this. Let's go through once again. Structure was broken. We had no idea what to do here. So we waited, and then we got our confirmation. H4 rejected H4, right? H4 rejected H4. And then if you go to H1 clearly broke open close. So I told you that is our confirmation setup, right? And also now look at this. You don't have to have a 100 pip target. Your next resistance you have is here, right? We have a swing high in here. That's liquidity. And then the next resistance you have is all the way up here. So you can hold your buy into that zone itself. So that will give you 140 pips. So that's enough, right? So let's see what they're doing. Oh, stopped out. And then it goes. See that? Could have had like in vain around 25 pips. Yeah, 25 pips would have been safe. Now in these areas, you could see now the volatility was very high. Okay, these areas the volatility was very high. Like even this little drop from here to here was 1,000 pips. Can you see that? Okay, so days like these, you will have to adjust your stop loss a little bit. Okay, I forgot to realize that. But yeah, you see that right now. The setup worked out perfectly. It's just the stop loss was too tight. But you see that, right? It's perfect. H4 rejected H4, H1 breaks back into that area, and boom, there it goes. Okay, so we could have had 5% if we had a proper stop loss. Okay, let that go. Let's wait. See, that was more than, how much is that? Yeah, more than 200 pips. Can you see that? So that is more than 200 pips. That's good. Let's wait. 8:30. And there we go. 12:30. Okay, so that is 12:30. So now the day is over. Okay, the day is over. Now what can you do? Where will we start from? Every single new day, we have to start from the daily time frame, right? Let's go to daily. Go back to daily. Now daily starts a bullish storyline. Can you see that? This is how you can be flexible. Now daily has started a bullish storyline. How can you see that? Look at this. Daily rejects a daily open close. You can see that very clearly. Daily rejects daily. Go to H4. What do you see on the H4? H4 has given you a breakout. This breakout, whatever it is, you have the breakout. Can you see that? So which means clearly daily starts what? Daily has started a bullish storyline. Okay, now you need to understand if it starts a bullish storyline for the last trade, could we have refined to which level? Which levels did you mean? These? No? I don't get your question. No? Let's see. Oh yeah, you're seeing
To the left a little bit, those resistance areas.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
maybe
see what
we
I circled
can.
there?
Yeah.
Could we have refined to that possibly?
That is not actually a very realistic thing to do. Okay. On the H4,
Okay.
it's okay. Okay, on the H4, it's fine. We could have used this level itself. But on the H1, of course, you're having so many, right? Because when you're looking at this in real time, you would not even think of refining it here, right? We wouldn't even think of doing that. Okay, now on the H4 itself, it's okay. But on the lower time frames, you're seeing so many levels. So yeah, don't do that. Okay, so now if you go to the daily time frame, now like I told you, daily clearly starts a bullish storyline. Right now, you need to understand if a bullish storyline starts the previous day, like for example, here Tuesday starts the bullish storyline, maybe like normally the next day or as in the upcoming days, anyway, they're going to take out the previous day's high. Okay, they'll be taking out the previous day's high for sure. So that will be your target. So until that previous day's high is taken out, you can start looking for buys. That's a That's a little thing I found out when back testing. Okay, so when daily starts a bullish storyline, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. Let's say weekly starts a bullish storyline. The next week they'll most probably take out the high of the week, the previous week's high. Okay, so same thing now. Daily starts a bullish storyline. We could expect this high to get taken out right now. Look how important it is. Like, look how good it is when you pay attention to the higher time frames. Okay, it always gives you a lot of clarity. Okay, it will give you a lot of clarity. So look at this. We have this daily rejects daily and drop back to the H4. You have your bullish breakout. So that's good. You know that you could look for buys. Now, where can we look for buys from? Because if you go now, if it's daily, right? If it's a daily bullish storyline, which time frame will you look for entries from? Okay, you're going to look for the H4 time frame, right? The H4 time frame. So now on the H4, you'll see so many. One here, one here, one here, one here, like so many. Then what can you do? The best thing to do is go back to the higher time frames and then start marking out your higher time frame level. So let's see. This is what I would do. The closest one we have is here. Can you see? The closest one we have is here. Now, also remember, a bullish day can start when it gets. Yeah. A storyline could start from an open close or as a regular AOV, whatever. Okay, all we need to see is a rejection because even an open close is a support, right? This is also a type of a key level. This is also a type of a support or a resistance. Okay, this is also a type of a support or resistance. So now, in here, what happened? Daily rejected this daily support, and then H4 gave you the bullish breakout. Okay, H4 gave you the bullish breakout. Okay, so now, like I told you, for entries, the best zone we could see is here, right? These are the closest levels we have. Now, remember, it's not a must that the market should come here. Okay, but normally it comes. That's the thing. Okay, but you need to be flexible. You need to pay attention to every H4 candle to see what they are doing. And then you need to be ready to get some entries as well. Okay, even if it does not tap there, but if it gives you the confirmations, you need to be able to get some entries ready. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, the reason I told you that is normally when we have this much momentum, okay, because look at this, from the opening to the closing price, we have 360 pips. Okay, it doesn't come back here itself. That is why I told you, but you should always make it a habit to mark out your higher time frame levels. Okay, that is why I'm marking these out. Okay, so these are the closest daily levels we have. Let's go to the H4. Let's go to H4. Okay, this is what we have. We could maybe refine it here. If it comes here, we could place trades. This one maybe we could refine here. Right, we have all this. So let's say these are the best zones to look for buys from. But then again, you need to understand, okay, if these are the best zones to take buys from, okay, if these are the best zones to take buys from, and the current market price is 360 pips away from these zones, are you going to sit back and wait until the market gets here? No. Okay, we could carefully look for sell trades until it gets into the next entry areas. Okay, so let's see what we could do here. Let's play the first two candles, that is Asia, and then decide what to do. Okay, first one, it made a drop. Now remember, we're expecting this high to get taken out, right? We're expecting this high to get taken out sooner or later. And okay, one important thing to note here is what? We, at the start of the day, when we started the day, daily was in a bullish storyline, right? Daily was in a bullish storyline. We saw that very clearly. In a daily bullish storyline, which time frame will your obstacles be? H4, right? Now, what did H4 do? H4 created a new resistance. Can you see that? H4 has created a new resistance. Now, then again, since the volatility is high, we can't take a sell here right away and put our stop loss above this because look at this. This is 30 pips away. These zones are 30 pips away from each other. So the best thing to do is wait. Okay, the best thing to do is you could wait for maybe confirmation entries. Okay, you could wait for confirmation entries. So let's see what they're doing. Let's see what they're doing. And then we can decide what to do. Let's play one more H4 candle. Okay. Maybe this is some liquidity being created here below these areas. This one. Not going to do direct trades like I told you because learning from mistakes. Okay, we saw what happened when we had a tight stop loss here, right? Now, these days, the volatility is high, so you can't have tight stop losses. So that is why we are waiting for confirmation entries. See, now, this is if you want to always get winning trades, good trades, wait for confirmations, no problem. Okay, wait for confirmation entries. So it's safe. So we have some liquidity. We have these. Let's wait for one more H4 candle. No entries here. Okay, no entries here. Not gonna do any entries. Let's see what they're doing. Then they made the drop. Can you see that? Then they clearly made a drop. H4 has rejected here. H4 has also rejected this H4 support. Okay, now remember, H4 rejected the H4 resistance. H4 has also rejected the H4 support. Then what did I tell you? If you are confused, right? If you are confused, drop one time frame lower and then look for the breakout, right? Let's go to H1. Okay, what side is the breakout? To the downside. Can you see it? The breakout is still to the downside, right? The breakout is still to the downside. So which means what can you do? You can once again take a little sell, right? You could once again take a little sell. So let's see. Let's go back to the H4. Where can we sell it from? What are the closest zones we have? Let me see. This is a good zone. Can you see? This right here will be a good zone for a sell because look how many times it was used as a support. Once here, twice here. Can you see? This is how you could filter out the good levels. Can you see how this level was used as a support twice? So which means this was a strong support, right? This was a strong support. So what happens when a strong support is broken, right? When a support is broken, it turns into a resistance, right? Once a support is broken, it turns into a resistance. Okay, so give me 1 second. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, once the support is broken, it turns into a resistance. So there we have that. Okay, we had this, the market using this twice. Okay, let's go to H1. Yeah, we have these zones. Let's see if we could refine it into maybe somewhere here, right? Or maybe into these itself. Yeah, I think we'll have to have our stop loss above that in case, just in case we don't want to make that same mistake again, right? And then the next thing we could do is what? Wait for the proper time, right? What's the time? This is 3:30. This is still 3:30. So in my time, New York zone is at 4:30 p.m. Okay, New York session is at 5:30 p.m. Okay, but these days, I think it's a little different. Yeah, these days, New York kill zone is at 5:30 p.m. New York session is at 6:30 p.m. So we could wait 5:30, 6:30. And then what we could do is, let me delete these unnecessary lines. And then what we could do is see if there are trend lines overlapping with these key levels at this time of the day, right? At this time of the day. So let's see. Let me see. What about this? Nope. No. See, not perfect. This is where we want to see. This is too far away. Can you see that? That trend line was too far away. Maybe a break and retest. No. Go to the H1. Let's see. If it's there, it's there, or else let's not force it. Okay, just let it go. That's it. This is almost there. I'm not saying, let me, what if I draw it from here? No, not perfect. Then it comes down to this. I think this is the only trend line we have. Can you say a type of a break and retest, right? Not perfect, not perfect, but yeah, this is the best fit we have, right? This is the best fit we have. And let's sell it here. How many pips can we do the stop loss? We can do it above this. Yeah, we can do around 20, 24 pips, let's see. Let's have a 5% target. Could have like a 5% target because 5% is all you need, right? It doesn't matter if the market's going to move here or not. If you get your 5%, just stay out. Okay, stay out because we are intraday traders. So let's see what they're doing. Hopefully we get a good one. We got stopped out in here as well. This is a Wednesday, so only a loss so far for the week. So let's see what they're doing. Okay, 4:30. Shit, did we miss it? New York has opened. There it goes. Okay, New York kill zone. During New York, it goes into our entry. I think we're getting the good rejections. Let's see. Okay, there it comes. There it comes. Okay. Okay, messing around 8:30. There it comes. Okay, that's enough. Okay, that is more than enough. See, if you patiently waited, there you go. So now what happened? In here, we did take a loss. Okay, no problem. No trades in these areas. In here, let's say you risked 1%, you got stopped out. No problem, you're up by 5%. So far you're up by 4% for the week. Okay, so don't think of it Like, don't think, okay, I didn't make any money today. No, just think of it as the whole week. Okay, just think of it as the whole week. So then you will see that, because daily targets aren't that realistic. Okay, have a weekly target, that's better. Okay, have a weekly target and that's better. There we go. Okay, so let's say you lost 1% here, no problem. You're up by 4%. Okay, so you're back. So let's see.
Hey,
Now we
bro.
could wait for, yeah.
So when you say 5%, that's assuming you're risking 1%, right?
Yes, for confirmation entries, we risk 1%. Okay, for
Okay.
confirmation entries, we go with 1% risk.
Is that also on the prop firm accounts?
Yes, even on the prop firm account,
Oh,
on the prop
okay.
firm account, you can decide that. Okay, because
Mhm.
I'm not going to, because
Yeah, yeah.
risk management should be personal. Okay,
Mhm.
something very personal. The best you need to understand now. The best way to see if you are risking right is if you pull the trigger and if you're sweating about a loss, which means you placed the wrong lot size clearly. Okay, you shouldn't be afraid of the amount you're going to lose. Okay, you need to be able to afford what you're going to lose. That's the thing. Okay,
Mhm.
always you need to be able to afford what you're going to lose. Okay, so just because someone else is risking 1%, if you can't handle that risk, like mentally, don't do
Yeah.
that. Don't do that. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with like
Yeah,
your
that's
own your own
psychology.
personal risk, your own
Exactly.
win rate as well. It's like
Exactly.
if you're not winning as much as
Mm.
like someone else, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, it
you
doesn't
can't take
matter.
that drawdown.
Yeah. Okay, so just master one setup. Now I'll show you the best setups that I trade. That is this H4 rejecting H4 and H1 breaking setup. That is perfect. If you understand your high time frame directions and everything, this setup is the perfect setup. Okay, this is the perfect setup. So I'll show you. I'll show you because this has a very high win rate, this setup. I'll show you all that. But yeah, let's just stick to what's
Yeah.
happening for
I actually
now.
have one more question also.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the daily?
Yeah, let's wait for this day to end and then go to
Alright,
daily.
sure.
Okay, yeah, let's go now. Yes.
So initially you remember we were looking for buys, right?
Yes. Now we were first looking at sales
Yeah.
when the week started, right? We were
Yeah,
first looking
yeah.
at sales when the week
After
started.
after the daily bullish storyline was created.
Yes.
Right. So we started looking for buys and then
Buys.
we were looking for the supports on the daily,
Yeah,
right?
these areas. Yeah.
Yeah. So you marked out, let me allocate. So you marked out this one and
The closest ones.
yeah, and then this open close, right?
Yes.
So my question is, because we use this level as a rejection, right? For
Yes.
the daily bullish storyline,
Yes.
can we use it as a support to buy
Once again,
from as well? Yeah.
yes, we can use that. We can use that, no problem.
Okay.
If it comes there. Okay, if it comes there, we can use them. Now the thing is, like, you can't right away mark this one out, right? When you have two more levels above it. Okay,
Mhm.
so you need to pay attention to the levels that are coming first.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
what if the market reverses from here? Now you can still buy from here. You can still
Mhm.
buy from here, not a problem. But before that, you need to pay attention to these, right? You can't
Yeah,
confirm that the
yeah.
market's going to come.
Yeah,
Okay, so
for sure.
yeah, you can use it here, no problem.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's just something that you might not mark it out, but it's at the back of your mind is that you can still buy from there.
Yes,
Right?
you can still buy it. Okay, the reason I did
Mhm.
not mark it out is because before this comes these, right?
Mhm.
Before these comes these. These
Mhm.
the first ones that comes. So that is why
Yeah.
I'm marking that out.
Mhm.
Okay, you can use this for buys, no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Thanks.
Okay. So yeah, now the daily storyline is still bullish. Now once again, let's see if it ever turned bearish. Now if we go here, of course, daily looks like it turned bearish for now. Can you see that? Daily has rejected these areas. The next candle has given us this little breakout as well. Can you see that? The next candle has given us this little breakout as well. But I don't like to scroll this far. That'll make it confusing. But let's just assume it started a bearish storyline. Okay, let's just assume it started a bearish storyline. But then again, for selling, this is the next daily zone we have, right? This is the next daily zone we have. So we could, once again, we could do the same thing that we did here. We sold it until it reaches daily zones, right? Until it reaches daily zones. But now again, we can buy it until it goes here. But let's see if you're confused. No problem. Wait for the H4 candles to end. Okay, go with the confirmation entry. So right now, of course, yeah, daily looks like it turned bearish again. So let's see what they're about to do. Let's see what they're about to do. This is the best zone we have. This is the daily zone. Yeah, this is the daily zone we have. So let's wait. Let's wait and see what they're about to do. And H4 supports will be good zones to pay attention to as well. Because why? Obstacles, right? daily bearish storyline, H4 supports would act as an obstacle. So let's see. We have 2 new supports created here. Didn't get here. That's okay. Let's see what they're about to do. First one. Second one. Now we see how H4 is rejecting these areas, all the H4 areas. Let's go to H1. Yeah, we have the confirmation entry again. Can you see? We have our confirmation entry. Okay, we have our confirmation entry because they're playing off from an obstacle, H4 obstacle. What happened? H4 rejected this H4 support. What is this support? Left shoulder, right? H4 rejected the H4 support, the left shoulder, QML, whatever name you want to call it. H4 rejects H4, go to the H1. H1 does a break of open close. Right here. Can you see that? H1 does the break of the open close level. So which means that's our confirmation entry, right? I showed it to you even in the previous example. So there we go. Same exact thing. H4 rejected H4. H1 gave us the breakout. So we could once again buy this thing, right? We could once again buy this thing. So where shall we buy it from? On the H1 itself, we have this zone, but let's first check the H4 levels. On the H4, we have this zone, right? The closest one, or else we could maybe use this zone itself. Yeah, that's only 10 pips away. Let's draw trend lines and see if everything is perfectly there. This is the H1 level. Can you say? Also keep in mind that it could even move here. Okay, it could even move here now. These days, like I told you, the volatility is high, so you need to have a little bigger stop loss, right? You need to have a little bigger stop loss. Let's see how many pips this is if we bought it here. And if we place our stop loss here, yeah, we could do around 25 pips. Let's refine this. Okay, let's refine this into, there are no H1 levels. I think this is the last H1 level we have. Then the next thing is timing. Let's see if we have a trend line. Let me see. No. Maybe from here. There we go. This trend line is perfect. Can you see that? Time and price. Okay, this is the time and price we need to see. We can see how the market is clearly having a trend line into these zones, right? We can see that. Maybe I think we have a break and retest trend line. That's better. There we go. We have the break and retest trend line into the zone. Okay, so now you see how we pick trend lines, right? That's why I told you don't stress a lot about trend lines, because see, we're not going to spend the whole day looking at trend lines as soon as the day opens. No. Okay, all you need to do is draw something like this. That way, you know, okay, now the break and retest trend line, so which means this bearish trend is also broken. So we could do a buy here. These are confirmation setup. So like I told you, I personally, I'll risk 1%. Okay, so you can decide how much you're going to risk. Hopefully we could have 20 pips. Yes, we can have 20 pips. 100 pip target. See, this is how you make 5%. 100 pips. Go back to H4. Let's double check. H4 rejected H4. Back to H1. H1 breaks open close. We have the confirmation, right? Like I told you, for storylines, it has to be a break of structure on one time frame lower. But for a confirmation entry on the H4 and H1, it could even be an open close, right? I clearly mentioned that. Okay, so let's see, we have this. Everything is set, H4, H1. We put our entry a little lower. 100 pip target. Yeah, this swing high could be our target right here. Let's see what they're doing. There it goes. First one, boom. Can you see that? Do you see how quick it is? Okay, do you see how quick it is when you go with your confirmation entry? Look at this. 100 pips in no time. In no time. Look at this. If I see that, let's see what they're doing. Okay, another entry. Of course, you would have your TP would have get hit here, no problem. Okay, but you see this, right? That's how you get your 100 pips. Okay, that is how you get your 5%. So what's that now? We lost 1% here. No problem. Regained it here. 5%, 5%, 10%, -1. You have 9% for this week so far. Can you see it? You have 9% for this week so far. All you have to do was patiently wait. Okay, patiently wait. Now don't think 9% is not enough. Okay, because let's just take a calculator. Let's just calculate this. Okay, imagine making this on a $50,000 account now. Like I now, of course, you have more than prop firm accounts are more than $50,000, right? I'm just telling you, 50,000 into 9%. How much is that? That's $4,500, right? If you are living in Asian countries, you know this is not a small amount, right? You know that's not a small amount for you. And the week isn't over yet. You have one more day to come. We might even have opportunity. So that's the thing. Okay, it's just since we are still starting, like since you guys are still starting with this, just have small, realistic targets for now. Later, you can increase this. Okay, all you have to do is once you master these setups, once you master one setup, okay, what you could do is like increase your lot sizes, increase your account sizes and all of that. So that is how you gain your consistency. Okay, not by making like more money than you made yesterday. No, first you have to find your edge. Okay, master one setup. That's all you could do. Okay, that's the best thing you could do. So see, now you have your buy here. Now you have your buy here. I think this buy would even go into the next daily resistance here, but who cares, right? We have our money, right? We got our money with our confirmation entries. So now let's wait. Okay, so now let's wait. Yeah, 12:30. Okay, no idea what happened. We paid ourselves, so that's enough. Because if you're confused, there's no point of holding this into anywhere, right? It doesn't matter if this entry is going to go here. We do not know the direction as of now properly. So the best thing to do is get your intraday profits and then wait. Okay, and then wait because we're not ready for swing trades yet. Okay, 4:30. Okay, 30. There we go. Moving up from the same. Now, this of course we would have taken a break even after the 100 pips because it messed around a little bit. But still, I think our entry was safe with the. What did we do? We placed the 20 pip stop loss, right? Yeah, our entry would have been safe. Can you see it? It would have been safe, but that's okay. We did not do that. We did not do that because why? Direction was not clear. We were confused. So yeah, so if you're confused, why should you even hold runs? No problem. Like no point of doing that, right? There's no point of doing that. So let's see what it's about to do. Let's go back to the daily time frame. Starting from the daily. Yeah, now in my opinion, I think the daily storyline that started here, it never ended, right? It never ended. I don't know where this tapped into, but I think it tapped here in hindsight, okay? Nah, it didn't even tap there. Okay, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. Now, once again, you need to understand. Now, look at this. Okay, I'll tell you something important. We came to a conclusion that daily started a bearish storyline in here, right? Because we saw how daily rejected this daily zone, right? This daily resistance that we had here. And then if we go back to the H4, we saw how H4 broke structure over here. That is why I told you daily turned bearish. Okay. Now, in a daily bearish storyline, right? In a daily bearish storyline, H4 supports will be our obstacles, right? So that is why we saw how the market reacted to this obstacle and went up. Not a big day, not a very good day on gold because normally these are the types of moves gold does, right? Look at that. That's a 400 pip day. Okay, but in here we had 100 pips. We had 100 pips, so we don't care what happened. Okay, let that go. Let that go. So now there's something important to understand. Like I told you, daily started the bearish storyline. Okay, so in a daily bearish storyline, we saw how H4 supports will be our obstacles, and then the market reacted to that. We got our entries. That's that. Now, what will be the, now I told you, for an entry, the best zone will be the daily and the H4 zone, right? Daily and the H4 zone. Same way, for an obstacle, a best obstacle would be a daily and an H4 level. Can you understand that? Now, this right here would be a strong obstacle for the daily bearish storyline, right? For the daily bearish storyline, these zones would be strong obstacles, right? It doesn't mean that it must tap here, but there's a good zone to pay attention, right? That's a daily support. That's a daily resistance. Okay, so these are the two best zones you have for trades. Can you understand it? These are the two best zones you have for trades now. Okay, so you could pay attention to what's going on in here. Okay, you could pay attention to what's going on in here now. Now, do you see this? In these days, we're completely lost with direction. We do not know what gold is doing because at the start of the week, we thought weekly and daily was bearish. But in the middle of the week, daily turned bullish. And right now, once again, daily has turned bearish. The market looks like it's in a small consolidation. We do not know what to do at all. We don't know, right? We do not know what to do. Okay, so can't help it. Let that go. Okay, just simply let it go. Wait and see what's the market is going to do in these areas. That is the best thing we could do here. Okay, we have marked out our key levels. Now let's patiently wait and see. Also remember, we're up by 9% so far. Okay, so ending the week in blues, even if we do not get any trades here. Let's see what they're doing. First, Asia. That's the first one. That is Asia. It did something. I have no idea what happened. Maybe some news with Asia, right? Maybe there's some news with Asia. Go to H4. Okay, what happened? Okay, this high is taken out. H1 has broken structure. Right here, H1 has broken structure. Can you say H1 has also broken structure? Let's go back to H4. H4 creates a new resistance in here, right? H4 creates a new resistance here. Go back to H1 like this. I think we can take a sell in these areas down into these areas. Looks like we can do that. Looks like we have a trend line as confluence at London kill zone or London open. I think we can take a sell here. Let's double check. Yeah, H4 has also rejected these supports, but the breakout we have is to the downside. Looks like we can take a sell here. It's Friday. Let me see. Yeah, we have this trend line too, I think. Yeah, let's try placing a sell here. We have the breakout, right? We have the trend line that's being broken. This high is also taken out. Yeah, looks like we're good for a sell. Let's try. Let's try doing a sell. 20 pips and 100 pips. Let's see. Yeah, that's the 5%. It is our 5% target, right? That's the 5% target. Let's see what they're doing. To H4, let's check H4. New resistance created. H4 rejected these areas, right? Go to H1. Yeah, we have this. Let's see what they're doing. Small rejection. Did we miss it? I think it tapped here. I think it tapped here and then rejected. Okay. Okay, London opened. We got a small rejection. Where did this tap into? No idea. Okay, now we are on the trade. Let's see what's going to happen. Another one. Shit happens. Let that go. Let that go. Let's see what we could do. Let's wait for the next H4 candle to close. Moving up. For some reason they did that. 12:30. Okay, 4:30. Now they're moving up. Okay, now one thing is don't keep crying about a loss. Okay, just find out a way to quickly recover it. Okay, so now what has happened? Now they're moving up. I think the next stop is over here. So do we have our confirmation entry? Now the sell failed. That's okay, sell failed. Now we're only up by 8% for the week, right? Okay, H4 has now rejected this RBS. Can you see it? H4 rejected the RBS. Let's go back to H1. Yes. Can you see what H1 has done? Okay, can you see what H1 has done? H1 has broken structure. Can you see it? H1 has clearly broken structure right here to the upside. Okay, so now H4 has rejected H4. Go to H1. H1 has broken structure. Okay, so let's see how we can recover from our loss, the loss we took today. Okay, H4 rejects H4. H1 breaks. Back to H4. H4 has created a new support. Can you say? H4 has created this new support that is the open close, right? H4 has created the open close in here. You can see that very clearly. Now, what can we do? We could maybe do some refinements, right? We could do some refinements. Where did this tap into? No idea where it tapped into exactly. Yeah, could even move here, and that is 20 pips away. 23 pips away, okay. Yeah, maybe we could refine this one into this. Have our stop loss below this. Let's do something like this. Let me find out a trend line as well. Yeah, 25 pips. And remember, the next stop is all the way up here. So we're going to have more than 5% for this. Because see, now if I go to H4, there's nothing on the H4 that can stop price again, right? Can you see that? Makes sense, right? Is it going to randomly reverse here? It can't. The next stop is all the way up here. The next resistance we have is here. So we have that. And then I think we have trend lines. I think this trend line is a good one. No. No, I think this is the best trend line we have. Let's go back to H1. H1 might have a break and retest trend line right into the zone. But now, in here, of course, the timing is not good because New York has already opened. Okay, we took our loss here during London, right? We took our loss here during London. So New York has already opened. It's 8:30 p.m. my time. What about this trend line? Yeah, or maybe this one. I think this is the best one we have. If the next candle wants to come here, this should be the zone. Let's do a buy. Now, one important thing you need to notice, now you see this, right? What did I do? I saw how H4 rejected H4, H1 broke. Okay, now the trade is confirmed, the direction is confirmed. Then rather, like, without directly marking out H1 levels for re-entries, I went back to the H4, marked out the level that is on the H4, okay, and then refined it into, didn't refine it, but there are chances of it coming here, right? Because they're nearby. It could even once again come here because also this is a good this was once a good resistance, right? Look at this. Used as a support here. I'm sorry, used as a resistance here, used as a resistance here, now broken here. So these types of ones are like magnets. Okay, these types of supports and resistance are like magnets. Okay, they always attract towards them. Okay, so yeah, it's better if we pay attention to this. Going to H1. Now we could do a buy. Yeah, let's have 25 pips. I think 25 pips is safe. But did we have more zones? This one also made a huge rejection. Let's try to refine it into a proper zone. Because this zone might give us a lot of drawdown. Now, in here, we can't help it, okay? Because the volatility is very high. Can you see that? Like, even these little wicks are more than 100 pips. See, that's a 200 pip wick. So, can't help it. We can't have tight stop losses. This zone, maybe we can refine it here because now, in comparison, if we look at these two zones, what's the best zone you can see here? What is the best zone that you would look? I told you, right, how to filter out a good zone. Mark out a now if you're trying to look for a support, okay, if you're trying to look for a support, look for a zone which was used as a resistance many times. That is how you can filter them out. Okay, that is how you can filter it out. So now in here, the best zone to go with would be this one, not this one, not this one, because this one did nothing, right? This one did nothing. But if you pay attention to this, can you see how this resistance was used? How this level was used as a resistance 2 times? So that's a good level. Okay, that's a good level. Let's go to H1. Yeah, I think this is the best level we have. Now let's try drawing a trend line. I think on the up here. No. See, sometimes you will have to have a little flexibility. Okay, or else it's not easy. Here. Yeah, I think the next candle might come here itself. Let's see. Back to H1. Okay, let's just do a buy here. I don't see proper trend lines. Can you only refine a zone as strong and after it's been Sorry, can you only define a zone as strong after it's been created? Yeah, now, yeah, of course, only after it's been created. Okay, so now this zone in here, now let's say, yeah, this of course there is no way to explain it, but this one, just understand it. Okay, now if you are given two levels like this level and a zone below it, you need to always just think, okay, what's the best level I can use here? Okay, am I going to use a support that was newly created, freshly created right here, or else am I going to use this level? Now you know this is the fact that this is a strong level. Why? Because that is the reason why they pushed the market down twice, right? Once in here and even in here. Oh, and also let me go to the daily time frame. This is also a daily level. See that? That is also a daily level. So now you need to understand which zone you're going to prefer. Okay. This level, H4 level, or is the daily level? Daily level, right? Daily is better. Okay. Now that clears the confusion. Clearly. Delete that. Okay. Let's go to H1. I don't want to waste time drawing trend lines. Let's do a buy here. Let's try 25 pips. Right? Let's try 25 pips. And then we can target all the way up here. All the way up here. Yeah, I think this is the best thing we could do here using the daily level itself rather than the H4. Because since the volatility is high, we need to, yeah, no, we need to refine the zones as much as we can. Okay, since the volatility is high, because like I showed you clearly, like look at even this little wick should have been more than 50 pips. See, a 57 pip wick on the H1. Okay, so you can check this out. This price action was very high volatile for some reason. So let's see what they're doing. Let's see. Is everything set? Okay, H4 rejected H4. H1 broke structure itself. This is a daily level. No trend lines that I can see. Not trying to force it. Okay, if it's there, it's there. Or it's just not there. See one more time. Nah, it's not there. Okay. Okay, let's see what they're doing. Oh, okay, there it goes. Okay, there it goes. Clearly, like you have your 5%, I think. See that? Did you see how easily you got your 5%? But then again, you need to understand there's no reason for you to close here. There is no reason for you to close here. There was nothing on the H4. Now these zones are irrelevant. We don't care about these levels. Okay, we don't care about these levels. We only care about H1 levels when we are doing re-entries, or else we don't care about these. These levels can't reverse price. Okay, the next H4 level we had was here. Let's see. Okay, 9:30. 10:30. I'm paying attention to the time right now because it's Friday. Okay, and after New York close, it'll quickly run into consolidations. Okay, so I think we can't. Yeah, that's how it ended. So let's say we took off everything at around 8%. Yeah, 2 hours before the market closed, right? So now how much do we have? How much do we have for this week? Right? We have 8% here. Okay, we had two 5%, right? Let's do the calculation. Let's do the calculation because now the reason I'm trying to show you this is even if you have a wrong analysis at the start of the week, right? Even if you have a wrong analysis at the start of the week, you can still make money if you are flexible enough. Okay, you can still make the money if you're flexible enough. Now look at this. We had, how much did we have? We had, I think we had two 5% trades, right? Let's see. Let's rewind. No trades here. We were confused. We had one loss here. Yeah, we had a winning trade here. This was 5%. This was 5%. That's 10%. And this is 8%. Okay, so let's say 18 minus 2%, right? Okay, we had 16%. So isn't that enough? 16%. Now imagine that on a $50,000 account, on a profit firm account. That's how much you're gonna have for the week. Okay, and this is not even the best week. Okay, this wasn't the best week we had, but still, look at
It's
that,
insane, bro.
right? Yeah, that's why I told you now. Now most people think of risk to reward, like we need to have 1 to 50s every day, 1 to 10s every day. No, you don't have to do that. 1 to 3s are more than enough. Okay, and I'm talking about the lowest targets that you can have, right? I'm talking about a $50,000 account now. Now, obviously, you guys know that you're not going to do this with $50,000 accounts, right? Once you master this, of course, you can have $100,000 accounts, right? So 100,000 into 14%, just think of it. Okay, I'm not trying to sell dreams or whatever. I'm just talking about realistic targets. Look at that, right? And this, now I've done this. Okay, trust me, I have done this. And if I convert this to my money, look at this. See that? That's in 1 week. Okay, that's in 1 week. So if you're living in Asia, you know how good this is. Okay, you know how good this is. So that is why I'm trying to make the calculations and then show it to you itself. Okay, so that you know what is possible. You know what is possible. Just because you take a loss, don't cry over it. Quickly see what your mistake is. Switch. Okay, switch. Okay, how am I going to recover this? That's it. That's it. Okay, so you saw that, right? We started the week with a completely wrong analysis. It can't help it because that is how storyline starts. The criteria was clearly there. That is why we thought of selling it. But did we ever sell it? No, we only sold it here because we didn't get any confirmation. See, I'm showing you the power of confirmation is now. Later, I'll show you how to do high risk entries, medium entries, and low risk entries. Now, what I showed you here was the low risk entries, right? These were the low risk entries, but I'll show you how to do high risk entries later. High risk entries are very risky. Like I showed you today, I took 2 losses trying to do a high risk entry. Okay, but I think the buy right now must be running well because it came from a weekly level. We need to check that. Okay, let's see. Let's quickly check what's currently happening. Yeah, see that? Now they're moving up. You see how many pips is that? Yeah, see 60 pips, up by 60 pips so far. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, let's see what they're doing. But now let's go back to that price action because that price action was very interesting because it's good that I picked a storyline that failed for us to start with. Okay, so what happened? Yeah, shit happened, right? it clearly failed. Okay, we clearly failed. We clearly failed with our setup. Like this week, we saw how we rejected these weekly areas. Daily also broke structure, but it never happened, right? It never happened that way. Okay, so what can we do? There's nothing we could do, right? There is nothing we could do. Just accept that we made a mistake and then wait. Okay, so let's see. Now, once again, one thing we need to understand is that weekly, okay, this is important. Okay, weekly never turned bullish yet, right? Weekly never turned bullish yet. Oh, did we though? Let's see. I think weekly turned bullish after this. Weekly has rejected these areas and then the next week did a breakout because clearly you can see this week never did any rejections from the upside or from the downside, right? You can see that very clearly. So which means I think this rejection and we'll have to go with the breakout that happened the next week, these breakouts. Okay, so we could say weekly is bullish as of now because you see this, right? You understand this. This week never did any rejections. It did a breakout, but no rejections. But this week did reject weekly levels, right? Weekly rejected weekly. The next week gave a breakout. So we could look for more buys. For sure, this high is going to get taken out. So you understand that, right? I don't have to explain that. That'll get taken out for sure. The next weekly resistance we could pay attention to for selling is up here. Can you see that? That is where it is. And then for sells, what's the next zone we have, right? What are the next best zones we have for? I'm sorry, buying it. Okay, what are the next best zones we have for buying? This one. Can you see it? Or maybe this one is also there. Because yeah, that was used as a resistance 3 times. Can you see that? Here, here, here. Also, now you might be wondering, okay, why am I not marking this one out? You need to be flexible here. Okay, look at this. From the current market price to this new support, that is 700 pips away. Do you think it's going to drop 700 pips away and then move up? It can do that, but not very realistic, right? You need to understand that. Okay, so try marking out nearby level. So this is a good resistance to pay attention. This is a good support to pay attention to because not 3 times. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, even 4 times. Now it's the first time it's broken. So this turns into a strong support, right? This turns into a strong support. So now what we could do is go to the lower time frames and then see if we could refine these zones, right? We could go to the lower time frames and then just see if we can refine these zones. So let's see. Let's go to daily. On the day, let me delete this. That's not. Okay, let's see this zone we have. See how many pips away is this? The next zone. That's 55 pips away. Can we use it though? I don't think so. Maybe we can. That's 55 pips away. Let's check H4. Now see, weekly we came to conclusion weekly is bullish. Daily is also bullish, right? Daily is also bullish. Maybe did daily turn bullish too? Yeah, daily must be bullish, right? We don't see the rejections that happened, but yeah, even this thing missed here. Daily looks also bullish because we see how clearly we're breaking all this, right? We're clearly breaking all of this. So daily must also be bullish. There we go. On the H4, we have the open close in line with that weekly good support, right? In line with the weekly good support. We have that. Go to H1. Can we do further refinements? Yeah, on the H1, we have further refinements here. See that? 20 pips away. We have this, maybe this support. Now, do you see why I'm using an H1 level? Is this a random H1 level? Ask yourself. No, right? This was, this is where the weekly support started. So I'm refining it into the close by levels that we have. Okay, the levels that are around 20 to 30 pips away from the zone. Okay, I think 50 pips away is too much in my opinion, but 25 to 30 pips, that's okay. Okay, that is okay. So there we go. Weekly level, H1 levels. Now, this is what you could do. If you are doing direct entries, which means high risk entries, this is where you're going to place it at the very bottom one. Okay, at the very bottom one will be your high risk entry. Not here. After the refinement is when you place your high risk. I will explain all of this. Don't worry. Okay, today let's stick to the confirmation entries and storylines. Okay, now of course storyline failed here, but the next week, like I told you, we could come to a conclusion that is started weekly, rejected weekly, and with this candle we got a bullish breakout. Okay, daily has also broken structure and everything, so we can expect the market to continue higher. Okay, everything is set. These are the levels we have for buys. Yeah, now once Asia opens, we might shoot through this level. I don't think this is a good level. Let's see, because weekly and daily is bullish, so who cares about H4, right? It's an obstacle, but then again, weekly is also bullish, so they might run through it. Okay, let's wait for Asia to end and then decide what to do. There we go. Just like I told you, see? So, no idea where it went into. Oh, we forgot to check the daily time frame. I'm sorry. We see. In here, what are the next daily zones we have? We had open close. Right? We had an open close here. We had a resistance in here. Right? We had this resistance in here. We had this level in here. But remember, this is the best level because this is a weekly and a daily zone. These are daily zones. Okay. This is also a good level. Can you see this is also a good level because can you see how it was used as a support here? And it is broken, it could get used as a resistance. Now, don't worry, having these lines marked out, don't think, oh, if he's having so many lines marked out, are we going to do sells from everything? No. At this current point, at this current time, we're bullish, right? We're trying to buy it into these levels, not sell it from all these levels. No. Okay, that's the thing. Just because I have all these levels marked out, don't think, oh, that's too many levels. How do you know which one to sell from? We don't know which one to sell from. That is why we're going to buy it until the storyline changes. Okay, simple. That is what we're going to do. Okay, let's go to H4, see what they're about to do. Okay, broke through this, never tapped this. Let's wait. Let's wait. Okay, have some patience. You'll have to wait. No entries. That is Asia. Anyway, that is Asia. Okay, that's the second one. Asia is over. I think they did this on purpose, right? Leaving behind the Asian high right below this daily zone. Can you see that? This was a daily zone, right? This was a daily zone, and they kept the Asian high right below it. Look at this. Like, why wouldn't they just tap into this, right? Why would they miss it like this? I think this might be some shitty trap or whatever. Let's see what they're doing. I'm not trying to take any trades. I'm not trying to sell it here. Not going to sell it here. Yeah, let's see what they're doing. Yeah, they see that? See that? This is what they're doing. Moved up. Manipulated Asia. Okay. Yeah, if this thing would have tapped here, we could have gotten any confirmation. But then again, remember, these are the best zones we have for buys, right? Those are the best zones we have for buys. Let's see. Oh. There we go. Now what has happened? H4 has rejected H4. Can you see? H4 has clearly rejected H4, right? H4 has clearly rejected H4. What's the next thing that needs to happen? Right? H4 has rejected H4. What's the next thing that needs to happen? H1 has to break.
close.
There we go. Can you see? Same exact setup. Same exact setup. We have a, now I told you, right? For direct entries, right? For high risk direct entries, there we go. See that? Of course, this is not a 1% entry. Okay, you're not going to risk 1% on this, right? That's very realistic. Look at this. This was a weekly zone, and also you shouldn't catch a falling knife, right? So this was obviously a falling knife. Look at this. Look at the drop. That's a 400 pip drop. Would you directly place this on a prop firm account? No, that's dumb if you do that. Okay, so never do that. Never do that. These types of trades should be on your prop firm, no, on your personal accounts, not prop firm accounts. Okay, so maybe 25 pips. And weekly, you know where your next weekly zone was. You can hold it into the next weekly itself, because in here, you're not going to use a very bigger lot size, right? You're not going to use a very big lot size. So what's the point of paying yourself at this area? No point, right? No point. So the best thing to do is, if you get these types of entries and if they end up working well, leave it to the next target itself that is all the way up here, because there's no point of paying it here. Okay, because imagine the amount of stress involved when taking this type of entry. It's dropping 400 pips and you're buying it from this level. So imagine the amount of stress, so make sure that that stress was worth it. That's the thing. Okay, let me delete this. We got the entry. We have our confirmation. Now let's see where we could buy this from. Where can we buy this from? Now on the H4 itself, what are the zones we have? Let's see. On the H4 itself, we have this RBS, right? We have the RBS. I don't think it's going to come here. How many pips away is that? That's 100 pips away. Not realistic. We had a support here, right? We had a support here. Go to H1. Yeah, we have more supports here on the H1. Can you see? We had a support here on the H1. And yeah, since we are not going to go anything below that, I don't think. But then again, look at the volatility, okay? This support might give us a lot of drawdown. Look at this. Yeah, look at where 25 pips is. For sure, we're getting stopped out if we buy it here. Where can we refine it into? Not here. Let's see. No. I can go here and then look for a zone, but then again, if you guys try to do this, you will be completely confused, because look at how many zones we're gonna have here. So much. Okay, so many zones. So you'll be confused. Just stick to recent price action. Okay, stick to the recent price action. This was the H1 support we had. Now, I think, yeah, we will get stopped out if we buy it here. Okay, because look at this 25 pips. Look where it's then. Okay, look where our stop loss will be. And with this volatility, I'm pretty sure we're getting stopped out with the 25 pip stop loss. See that? See that? A little bit of drawdown will knock us out. You can see that, right? Very clearly. Okay, very, very clearly. That is just common sense. This will knock you out. Okay, it will knock you out. So, interesting. Where shall we buy it from? We had this zone as well. Let's see what they're doing. Now, New York is also over. Okay, New York is also over. Are we going to wait for the next day? Maybe if we wait for the next day, we might miss a good setup. But I'm pretty sure if we buy it here, we'll get stopped out, because I don't want to buy it here and have 100 pip stop loss. So let's see what let's just go to the lower time frames for now to check if we had anything inside of that support. We had this support, right? Inside of that support, we had this support. 15. We had all these. No, I think I don't like this. I think this should be the final one on the M30. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do 1% here. Okay, I don't want to do 1% here. Let's do like 0.5%, because even though the entry is the direction is confirmed, even though we have a setup, you get the point, right? I can't have a buy here and then have my stop loss here. It's 100 pips away. If you want to do that, no problem. But I wouldn't do that. Okay, I wouldn't do that. So This H1 support, I think the best refinement is here on the M30. So if we buy it here, like this, if we buy it here, we can have our stop loss below the H4 zone as well, I guess. 20? Nah, 25 maximum. Yeah, only 0.5%. Okay, I'm not sure of this. Might knock us out. Let's have 0.5% and 11% target. Since we're bullish, we can target these highs. Okay, let's go to H4. Yeah, let's target that high. Let's target that high since we're bullish. Okay, let's see. Oh, did it tap here? Looks like we missed it. 8:30. That's okay. Then let's just wait for the day to end. Okay, let's wait for the day to end because I have no idea where to enter now. Ah, okay. There it comes. Okay, now it's tapped right into our entry. 9:30. Okay, 10:30. We're getting the momentum. Okay, there it goes. Nice. We can move it to break even. We can move it to break even. Only 0.5%. 0.5%. You could have maybe, even if you paid yourself here, you have, yeah, you have what? You have that 4.5%. Can you see that? Even if you took off everything here, but I'm not going to take off everything here. I'll take off everything here since we're still bullish, right? Let's see. There you go. So that's how the day ends. Yeah, that's how the day ends. That's a good one. That's a great one. That's enough for today, right? I'm struggling sometimes with entries with different broker. Do you have a rule for this? No, just stick to one. Okay, either you could stick to Saxo or else what you use on MT4 itself. Just stick to one or else it will confuse you. Okay, or else it will confuse. Now, we are dealing with broker issues, of course. Now, we can't help it, right? They do crazy stuff. So the best thing to do is now use IC markets. Okay, for personal accounts, use IC markets. Now, FTMO servers are very close, like they go very close with Saxo's price. Uh, I think they go close with Saxo, but just stick to one thing until you find out something good for yourself. Okay, maybe just stick to Saxo itself and use Saxo's price levels itself, or else just use your MT4 broker and stick to that prices itself. Okay, there nothing else we could do. These broker issues, even that's something I hate as well. Okay, so let that go. Okay, so that's how the day ended. Okay, that is how the day ended. Let's see. Let's go to the daily. Okay, we're shooting up. Daily, of course, daily tapped into these daily areas. Yes, daily closed above it, right? Daily closed above it. You could say, go to H4. Yeah, now look at this now. You can't say daily turned bearish or, yeah, you can't say that anyway because look how strong that bullish candle is. You can't say daily turned bearish, no. We're still bullish. Now, what are the next zones we have on the daily to buy from? We have this zone in here. Can you see that? But then again, like I told you now, just make it a habit to mark out your zones from the higher time frames, but also keep in mind that it is not a must that the market has to go there. Okay, see now, this is 270 pips away. Not that realistic, right? A 270 pip pullback before moving up. It can happen. It can happen with this volatility, but then again, just it's not a must, like I told you. Okay, it's not a must, but make it a habit to always start marking out your zones from the higher time frames itself. So you're not going to make mistakes. Okay, that's one thing. Okay, let's go to H4. All right, that is where H4 is. This is where the daily zone is. I highly doubt if it's going to move here or not. And yeah, we're going to buy it until the market moves here. Okay, we're going to buy it until the market moves here. So that's the thing. Now, most people, what they do is they think, oh, he marked these zones out, so he's going to wait until the market comes here and sell it. No, why should you do that, right? This is current market price is 200 pips away from the next sell zone. So why would you wait until the market moves here 200 pips? Take the opportunity, buy it. Okay, buy it. That is what we could do. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Let's wait for the day to, I'm sorry, let's wait for Asia to end and then let's decide what we could do. First one got into a support, closed above it. Second one. Oh. Okay, see, it came into a support, moved back up, right? So don't get confused. It just did a pullback. and moved back up. So there we go. You had your, yeah, we only reached 0.5%, right? So you have 5%. See that? You have your 5% once again on this entry. That's good. No losses so far. On Monday, we had a 5%. That's good. Okay, let's go to H4. Now we're getting a little move from these daily zones, but no confirmations. These are for sure also H4 level. See that? Yeah, these are also an H4 level. I don't think it tapped there, but yeah, this is also an H4 level. But for us to get a selling confirmation, H4 has to reject H4 and then H1 has to break, right? But do we have that? No, we do not. We do not. But we have the move the other way. H4 rejects H4 support, right? H4 itself breaks bullish. If you go to H1, H1 clearly broke structure in here, right? So which means can look for buys. What is the next closest zone for a buy we have? This one, right? That is RBS, I think. Can we have this one? No, not gonna take any sells here because sells are risky with this amount of momentum. So let's wait for confirmation entries. Two supports that we could pay attention to, right? You get it, right? Two supports that we could pay attention to are in here, right? That is where it is. Now what can we do? We can wait for the market. Yeah, we can wait for maybe the next H4 candle to end and then decide what to do. Let's see. 1, 2. Oh, okay, closed above it. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, let's go to H4. Yeah, we got a drop, but we did not get our confirmations, right? Can you see it? Even from here, we did get it. We did get it. Now, can you see H4 close below H4? Can you see it close below here and then H1 broke structure or whatever? No, right? You can't. Can you see it? Because H1 never broke open, close or whatever. So you can't confirm that this sell is going to last long. At some point, they're going to run above this. So are you going to take any sells? No. Buys are the best to go with. So for buying, we do not have any confirmations as of now. So let's wait because if it, like I told you, if it's not clear, all you have to do is wait. Okay, all you have to do is wait. So for me, no entries yet. No entries. Let's see. And that happened. Okay, so let that go. Now in hindsight, I could have told you, look at this. Okay, H4 did close above that. Okay, H4 closed above it. Now the next candle, of course, it did break open close. Can you see that? But not the signature setup, right? Now this breakout has to happen inside of the rejection. That's the best thing now. The breakout happened after the next candle. Yeah, after the next, like once the next H4 candle opened. Okay, so it still worked out though. It got back into that support itself, see? And then it did this. Okay, but that's okay. If it is not your confirmation, just don't take it. That's it. Just so I told you, master one setup. That is the best way to make money. With this momentum, you wouldn't take it. You mean the buy or the sell? The sell? The buy. The buy didn't have that momentum, right? Look at this. It was just a random drop, and also it never broke any open close or structure or whatever. So you can come to a conclusion that this buy or this is only a pullback into some support. That's all they're doing. That is all they're doing. Okay, so this is not even momentum. They're like, it's just a small drop. That's it. Okay. So yeah, now they are moving up. No idea what to do. 9:30. I'm sorry, 7:30. Now remember, we have entered sell zones. These were weekly and daily levels, if you remember, right? These were weekly and daily levels, if you remember it. So now what you could do is wait. Okay, the best thing to do is just wait. Let's play. So 6:30. Oh, what happened there? Came back down. This is 8:30 p.m., right? This is 8:30 p.m. What have they done? They have closed above it. They have now remember we are in a higher time frame sell zone, right? We are in a higher time frame sell zone, so we could pay attention to that as well. Okay, we could pay attention now. This whole thing, like I told you, starting from here was a weekly resistance, right? Starting from here was a weekly resistance, so we need to pay attention to that. Now, what has happened inside of that weekly resistance? I think we have H4 rejecting H4. Can you say H4 has done what? H4 has rejected H4, maybe up here. I think it has moved all the way up here. Let's see. Yeah. Can you see that? H4 has rejected H4. Let's go to H1. Oh, there we go. H1 breaks. Can you see that? H1 breaks, open, close very clearly. Very clearly we have the break. Okay. H4. Yeah, we very clearly have that. But then again, now it's getting too late in the day. It's 12:30 a.m. I wouldn't trade at that time of the day. So let's wait. Yeah, let's wait for this. Let's wait for the day to end and then let's decide what we can do. Okay. Now, okay, that is how it ended. That is how the day ended. Let's go to daily. Okay, daily never turned bearish yet, but yeah, daily has rejected a daily resistance. Can you say that? Daily did reject a daily resistance, but never turned bearish yet. Okay, it never turned bearish yet. So which means you can still look for buys, right? You can still look for buys. Where shall we buy it from? Maybe this area, which was once used as a support. Here, right? Or maybe this. Yeah, these are the closest zones we have, right? These are the closest zones we have. How many pips away is that? 130 pips away. Yeah, let's see what's about to happen. H4 has given us the setup in here. Okay, H4 has given us the setup in here. H1 breaks. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's wait for the first two candles to end and we can decide what to do. Okay. First one. Second one. Okay, so that is what they have done. Okay, that's what they have done. H4, we have this. And H4 has created a new resistance. Now, once again, you need to ask me, okay, why am I focusing on a resistance here? Because one thing, we have entered a sell zone on the weekly. What's the sell zone? You saw how clearly this was a weekly resistance. And all of these selling confirmations, like we're getting all these confirmations from where? Inside of that. Okay, so which means these setups can last longer, right? It's coming from the weekly time frame as well. Okay, so we have that. Now, what do we have on the H4? H4 has created a new resistance. Yeah, H4 has created a new resistance. Oh, guys, I took this sell. Yeah, I just remembered. I took a sell right here from the resistance. Yeah, just check out my channel. You'll see that I just remembered it. I took a sell from this resistance and then this one. This didn't hold. Yeah, this didn't hold. This was a 700 pip drop, if I remember. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. There you go. This was a huge drop. See that? I remember this price section, so no point. Okay, but you get the point, right? Now, can you see how you be flexible? How you can be flexible? Okay, so it's not about just marrying the idea. Now, ICT tells you, right? Do not marry the idea. Okay, do not marry the idea. That is very true. That is very, very true. Okay, so the only thing you can do as a trader now, a good trader is not someone who always has his levels marked out to the point. No, a good trader is someone who is flexible, even though he's wrong. Okay, now see. Today, now, like I told you, now if we take that same example that we went through in here, we were completely wrong, right? We were completely wrong, but didn't we end up with around 10%? We did, right? We did end up with around 10%. Okay, so it's not about being right or wrong, it's about having the right exit points. Okay, because exits are more important than entries. I always say that. Get a good, like once you get a good entry, okay, don't just hold it on. Don't just have imaginary targets. Don't think, oh, it's going to move there, it's going to move there. No, if you find out, like if you see that there is a zone that could reverse price from that zone, like ours, maybe an obstacle kind of thing, pay yourself. That's it. Okay, pay yourself and then let the rest run. Okay, now if we see daily, never what was I about to say? Okay, daily never ended the bearish storyline, right? Bearish storyline started here, but it never ended. Can you say it never ended? Okay, but now, right now, of course, I'm confused because, like I told you, weekly was bullish at the start of the week. Now we have once again come back into weekly zones. That's right. But daily is still bearish. Okay, daily is still bearish. So if we close around current price section, I think we can use these zones for selling. Okay, I think we can use these zones for them. But like I told you, I'm confused. I'm confused. Okay, so I'm not gonna tell you do this or do that because I'm confused as well. So now you saw what to do when confused. Wait. Patiently wait. That is all you can do. Patiently wait until you find a clear setup with H4 and H1. If you get that, boom, go with that. That's it. Okay, so right now I'm confused. I don't know if we should sell it or since we are inside of a weekly support, if we should buy it. So I'm waiting. Okay, I'm waiting for a clear confirmation. That is what I would do. Okay, so did you understand this? Did you understand what we talked about in this session? Okay, what I wanted to show you was flexibility. Okay, flexibility because the storyline it's a very good way to determine direction. But if it's wrong sometimes, are you going to place losing trades the whole week? No, you don't have to. You don't have to place losing trades the whole week if you wait for confirmations. Okay, now remember, only your high risk setups are going to stop you out. Okay, only the high risk setups are going to kick you out and do all that. But if you wait for confirmation entries, if you are a very rule-based person, a very disciplined person, like just do that. Okay, wait for confirmation entries. That is what I can tell you. Wait for the confirmation entries. Okay, that way you gain trust in yourself, you gain trust in the setups and all of that. Just wait for the confirmation entries until you properly understand all of these concepts. So that way, after some time, you can go with the direct entries. After some time, you can see now, even right now, I've been doing this for a while, but even I couldn't predict that the market was going to move here, right? Nobody could have done that. I'm 100% sure about that. Okay. Nobody can say, oh, the market is directly going to come here. No, that is why you need to be flexible. You need to understand that since this support was a long one, see that? See, always when we have these long weeks, inside of these long weeks, we'll have lower time, something on the lower time frames. So that is why I did not risk, like I told you, I risked 0.30% for risk entries. But did I risk all the 0.30 here? No, I divided it into three, one entry here, one entry here, one on the weekly. Right here. See that? Of course, this is not enough for you, like, to to run a family or whatever. Okay, you can't do that. That is why you need to do small lot sizes on your personal accounts. When it comes into prop firm accounts, you're gonna go risk. Okay, you're gonna go heavy on them. Okay, so yeah, now you see this, right? This was the weekly support. So inside of that, one entry, refining it and placing here, another entry, refining and placing it here, final entry here with the trend line confluence. Okay. Now, just because I lost 3 trades, did I lose 1%? No. How much did I lose? Just 0.20% only. Okay, so risk management is a very deep thing. Okay, something very underrated because most people think technical analysis is everything. No, technicals can fail, right? The only thing you can control in this market is your risk and your emotions. Okay, so if you do that well, okay, so you've done your job already. Okay, so remember that very well. Remember that very, very well. Now we will have more sessions like this. Don't worry. Okay, but I need more storyline examples from you guys. I didn't see enough. Okay, I need more. Just send more, send more. We'll go through this and then we'll talk about entries. We'll go through everything. Okay, I'll give you the weekly breakdowns and all that because even for the previous weeks, like previous week, I had the session with my other batches, and then I told them about the sell in here. I have the recording. I'll show you. Okay, I'm not even kidding. I told them, okay, take a sell here, target here. Okay, so if you did that, you had your 100% already, like 5% already. See, that's the 100 pip target. Okay, that's a 100 pip target. So after that, of course, you slowly determine your risk because these entries are safe ones, but these aren't confirmed buys, right? These aren't confirmed. So obviously you're not going to risk the same amount to risk for these cells. Okay, so that's that. But let's slowly take this. Okay, do not rush this. Like I told you, we have enough time. Okay, like I told you, I'm not going to dump you in 1 hour, in 1 month. No, we have enough time. Just slowly let's master this, everyone. Okay, not just one person, everyone. Let's slowly master this. That is what I want to do. Okay, because like I told you, I charged a huge amount, so I do not want to just let it go for waste. Okay, because I know most of you, like it's not easy, right? 1,800 is not easy. I get that. Okay, so that is why I'm trying to give you my best. So I expect the best from you guys as well. Okay, so do the back testing. We will have more sessions like this. And even if I don't do sessions, just get together and organize and then just do sessions together. I don't care. Okay, just do sessions together. If you have questions, like if I have time, I'll jump in, I'll do all that. So do it that way. Okay, don't always wait for me to do a session. No, just get together and do it. Okay, so it'll help you guys as well. Okay, so can you understand what we talked about today? Let me know. Any questions that I need to go through? Anyone? No? Hope it was clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was quite clear. I think just need to do more
Yeah.
backtesting,
Do more
watch
backtesting.
again,
Mm.
and
Okay,
I think yeah.
just write down, right? Just when backtesting, just write down everything that comes, okay, or your problems. Just write it down and then come to me. Ask me if you just try to figure out the answer by yourself. If you can't, just come to me. I'll always answer it. Okay, I'll check the price section, what happened there, and I'll answer that. Okay, so just write down all your questions. So do not ignore, like, do not just let go without knowing the answers. Okay, so that way you will make the same mistake once again. Okay, so you need to understand what your mistake is and not do that again. That's the thing. Okay. So yeah, anything else that I need to go through? Let me know. No? Hopefully not. Okay, then I'll talk to you guys in the next session. I think we can have our next session. What's the date today? Tuesday. I think we can have it during the weekend. I'll let you know. I'll confirm on Friday. Okay. I'll confirm on Friday. Okay, awesome. So yeah, do the back testing. And if you guys want to do sessions without me, go ahead. No problem. Okay, do that as long as it helps you. So do that. Okay. Yeah, then that's it for today. Can you hear me? It says my connection is unstable.
Yeah, you cut out for a moment.
Okay. Okay, so you can hear me, right? So yeah, I'll tell you guys the times for the next session on Friday. Okay, I'll confirm the times on Friday. So yeah, till then, if you guys want to do any backtesting sessions without me, go ahead, do that, no problem. Okay, that will help you guys as well. And send the charts in the group, because so if you have any questions, I can answer them. Okay. Yeah, then that's it. Have a nice day. Take care, everyone. I'll
All right,
talk to
thank you.
guys in the next.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye.